Okay, this is seriously the biggest waste I have ever committed in the garden. Hundreds of cucumbers got too far done, too ripe while I was gone, just for 3 days. And we're just clipping them and dropping them because there's just too many. So lemon cucumber, let me see if I can find a good one. This one might be okay. Oh, I see one on the other side. This is perfect, okay? Light yellow like that, just a little bit of darker yellow around where the stem is, and this one is too far gone. It's already mushy. And I could have just put a sign out front and said cucumbers. This one looks like it might be okay. It's still nice and firm. But you can see just the lack of water. The vines look spent. And here's that goose grass. I found that down here where the soil is looser, you can pull it out. Okay, the mothballs need some water. Anyway, this is quite the mess. Lesson learned. We might be okay. Yeah. That one might be okay. Yeah. See if you can just keep them off the ground. That's the thing. Okay, everybody. That's actually a yellow tomato with yellow cucumbers. I could have filled up probably this box at least twice over, 3 times over, but I ran out of energy and had a lot of trouble with peppers, but there are a few that are still doing well. One more picking of corn off the Three Sisters and that'll be it. And I went ahead and took some. These are pretty picked over, but there's some that are in bags, sunflowers that are in bags that I hope to salvage a bunch of seeds. So that's it for Saturday. I think it's August the 2nd. Cicadas are going wild. I've got one eggplant. I'm still hopeful. Got a lot of hot weather coming, and they do well in hot weather. Hey there everyone, Kaye here on my homestead in Tennessee. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I live on a little over 9 acres in Tennessee after being an urban gardener in LA. Well, I wanted to give you a quick look at the current state of the memorial garden because after all the watering I did, I put a hose on each plant for like 20 minutes as I worked ahead. I did one with the hose here, and then I would move the hose and do that one and move the hose. So each one got about 20 minutes of, at least, of watering, and then it rained. And so I'm getting fresh blooms on the Rose of Sharon. These are all clones of the same original big bush that exists in Ashland, Kentucky. My friend Angie sent me the original plants, and they languished over on the side where it was completely unprotected from deer. And before they would ever get around to blooming, they would eat them back. So I was hoping that this being so close to the house, they would leave them alone. I'm probably going to have to put in a fence. I haven't done that yet. But at least the other day, I got out all the weeds. Randy helped haul them off, and he put the compost around each plant. I watered them again, and then it rained, and it just looks ever so much better. And then also I wanted to point out the side garden status. I have probably a dozen butternut squash in there at least, and a few trombacino, and then I found a really big giant squash. So let's go over and take a look. This winter we're going to work on getting a nice door here. Yep. Come, let me show you. Okay. There's my first giant squash. It's not done growing either. Let me just put my hand on it for perspective. I can barely get the whole squash in the frame. So, you know, we just didn't have any rain, so I don't know what I would have had if I'd had more. Here's what I'm going to be basically talking about today. This is the biggest surprise of the garden this year, is the copious amount of lemon cucumbers I got. The corn is done. I'm already eating it. Been eating it for 2 days now. And it had a lot of ears, but I think because we just didn't get enough rain, they didn't get big enough. So I don't think it's going to be a lot to write home about. There is a trombacino I want to show you on the side. We have to look at it through the fence. The turkeys nibble on these when they walk by in the afternoon. Take a look. Something tells me if the leaves hadn't gotten eaten off, I would have had a lot more. There's a nice butternut right there. Got a nice one in there. And here's the trombacino. It's starting to turn. You can harvest it when it's green. That leaf is kind of blocking the view. Let's see if I can get that out of the way. Nope. Okay. Oh, here's a baby one just starting. Aren't they cute? That's the big one there. And it comes down to here. So that's going to be fun. I hope that's not the only one. I don't see many more. These beans are done. So I've harvested pretty much everything off of those. So basically we're just waiting for squash and melons and sweet potatoes. So what I wanted to share is the biggest surprise of the year was cucumbers, specifically lemon cucumbers. And I just didn't have the confidence, so I kept planting. You know, I planted 2 or 3 in the tomatoes over here, 3 or 4 in the tomatoes down on the cattle panel trellis down there. And then I went ahead and planted a couple on the arch trellis, and then I planted 2 or 3 up there where you just saw. And they all did great. I have no idea how that happened. Last year I had a whole row of lemon cucumbers over here on the terrace garden and got virtually, I don't even think I got one. So the problem was I was so unexpecting them to do well that I had bags and bags of cucumbers and no time to process, or I gave away 2 or 3 bags, and I did what I could, but I wish I had been more mentally prepared. I did ferment 2 half-gallon jars that had the cucumbers in it, so I will get to enjoy those. And I'm still hopeful after this rain that we might get a few more. The plants are still alive and there's still blooms, and it's going to be very hot. But it's going to be like 92 to 95 for the next 4 days. So I have a feeling that's going to completely finish off most of the garden. Two for the price of one. Okay, everything you see on that 45-foot cattle panel row, all the dead stuff are tomatoes and some cucumbers, but the green stuff that's still growing, looks better down there, right here, is cucumber. That down there actually might be melon that's growing over from the melon patch, because it looks a lot greener than this yellowed cucumber here. As for the 3 sisters, you can see the corn is all brown, but there's beautiful green bean leaves growing up the stalks. And then I have the pumpkins still looking viable over here. I only have 1 pumpkin plant. The peppers look much better after the rain, and the okra still looks good. Of course, the sweet Annie is just going to take over if I let it. If you think about the 3 sisters method of planting corn, beans, and squash together, this actually was a successful experiment, because the corn came up first. Then, you know, once I got the corn off, now the beans are continuing to come up. I'm going to get some seed from that. And then the pumpkin is growing down through the rows. Now, the timing could have been better, but it's good enough. Okay, here's the melon patch, and you can see from a distance there's a lot of yellowing, and some of that might be the cucumbers coming across. I see melon leaves that are fully green, so hopefully I'll get a good harvest out of this patch. We'll do that in a separate video. Thank you so much for watching my channel and supporting it. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please subscribe if you haven't. God bless. That's good. Okay, I didn't want you to think that I hadn't eaten any of my cucumbers, because I have. I've been eating about 4, this is a lemon cucumber, and I've been eating about at least 4 of these a day. And I'm just slicing salt and pepper with extra virgin olive oil and balsamic. And if I've got a tomato, I'm doing that together. So, but unfortunately, the tomatoes, except for a handful of cherry tomatoes, they're done. But let's take a taste. That is so sweet. If you haven't tried lemon cucumber, you can get the seeds where I did at Botanical Interest. Grab the link below the video and help support the channel. Thanks so much.